Chapter 5. Retreat.
As the caravan began its dangerous trek into the wastelands, Deus said, "Eyes on the road." The driver, who was already watching the road, intently expecting danger, understood that Deus was instructing him to mind his own business while she looked at the letter she had unfolded.
Yes, Commander, I understand.
Deus began opening the letter as the driver looked into the rear-view mirror of the personnel carrier and saw a young altered Geo soldier looking at the paper in Deus's hand.
Tannel, the next time I see your eyes looking up from the floor, I'll have you running alongside this carrier on lookout for rebels if you need to see something.
The young Geo replied,
"Yes, sir."
As his head looked at the floor and didn't look up again for the rest of the trip. Deus, knowing that the senior Geo driving the vehicle was keeping an eye out for anyone attempting to snoop over her shoulder, opened the letter and read a hand-penned message from Samar. As Deus read the letter silently, the look on her face showed the seriousness of the words within the message. She folded up the letter and placed it back in her armor, saying nothing. The caravan continued driving, and Deus looked straight forward for nearly an hour as they reached an area surrounded by tall ruins that once was flowing with activity and prosperity. Now it was only rubble and signs of devastation.
We have reached the coordinates you provided, Commander,
said the driver.
Stop here,
said Deus as she reached for the communication button on her neck.
Commanders, we have arrived. Have your troops deploy along the sides of the carriers. When the scavenger crews begin searching the wreckage, I want eyes on these buildings. If there are rebels here, they are up high and looking at us as we speak.
As Soria and Pennet acknowledged Deus's message, the troops began forming a barrier between the scavenger crews and the surrounding area. Soria deployed 6 small drones from her armor and began scanning the surrounding ruins. Pennet ordered 2 of her soldiers to the top of a roof to cover the soldiers on the ground and get a better view of the area. The scavenger team began working, and before long the large open-bed trucks were filled with metal, rusted frames from what were once tables and chairs. A crew pulled copper wire from old light poles to melt down. 2 mechanics opened rusted hoods and looked at engine parts that might be salvaged to keep the carriers and other equipment running. A small group of Geos signaled to the team leader of the scavenger group to send help as they discovered what must have been an old hardware store filled with shovels, rakes, and other gardening tools. The handles would need to be replaced on many of the tools, but the metal was the valuable part of the discovery, so they took everything they could find. The day went by quickly and without any sight of rebels. The scavenger team finished strapping down the supplies and boarded the carriers. A glimmer from one of the tall ruins caught Soria's eye as she said,
"Commander Deus, 11 o'clock high, 2 floors from the top. I have movement. Stand by while I have a drone give me heat readings."
Soria barely finished her sentence before a team of rebel soldiers saw the troops being readied below and realized they were discovered. All the Geo soldiers trained their weapons on the top of the building and began to take cover. As they did, shots rang out, and within seconds the once quiet ruins became a battlefield. The rebels had the high ground and had been watching long enough to understand how many Geos they were fighting and where they were.
"I have a Geo down. I need a medic. South side of the brick building."
"I have a shot to my leg. Medic! I got my knee. I can't."
I have 2 Geos down, east side of the carriers.
Soria, whose communications could override the chatter, said,
"Take cover and hold your fire. Give me all 3 extraction team leaders on my 6. We are going in to find these rats and flush them to hell. We are wasting ammunition shooting at a wall."
Pennet added,
I want my 3 teams moving to the left and right of Soraya's position. When her people flush the rebels out, I want to make sure they have nowhere to run. If we can't find them, we will drop that whole building on them. No rebel leaves this place alive.
Geos began to move quickly around the building as weapons fired from the top of the building. Soria, who was faster than the Geos she commanded, found herself waiting at the base of the building as the rest of the team caught up.
"Commander Deus, I have a visual on the rebels from my drone feed. There are 6 males and 1 female held up on the top floor. We are about to begin our ascent. This won't take but a few minutes. We will be home in time to watch the sunset. Do you copy?
Deus did not reply.
Commander Deus, do you copy? I don't want to get mistaken for a rebel when I get to the top of this building. I know you don't miss.
Soria looked at the geo-soldier to her left.
I swear to the Creator I love days like this more than life itself.
Deus keyed her intercom and said,
Stand down.
Soria replied,
Say again, Commander. We have the rebel penned down, and we are ready to execute. Repeat your last.
Stand down, Commander Soria. The area is too hot to engage.
Soria was silent for a moment as the Geo team leader to her side said,
That's insane. We have them trapped. This would take less time to execute than to explain how.
Soria, looking confused and frustrated, turned to the Geo and grabbed his collar.
Your commander gave an order. Question her sanity or her orders in front of me again, and you will be working sewer detail for the rest of your life. Do you understand?
Yes, Commander Soraya. Of course. I was out of line.
Now move your ass and provide cover for the medics while we get the hell out of here.
Yes, Commander,
said the Geo as he turned and motioned for his team to return to the convoy. Soria stayed behind a moment looking at the building and wondering why she was called off an attack that she clearly had an advantage in. As the rebels realized they were trapped and outnumbered, they prepared themselves to make a futile last stand. After several minutes went by as they took cover and waited for their fight to begin, there were no sounds of soldiers storming their position. The drones had disappeared, and the sound of the carriers withdrawing from the area caused one of the rebels to come out of his hiding spot to look through the missing window high above the area where the soldiers once stood. They were gone, and without a reason. The rebels knew they were outnumbered and surrounded, but the soldiers retreated. It made no sense to the soldiers, who had learned the hard way that even being seen by a Geo was a death sentence. All 7 rebels made their way to the opening and looked down at the plume of dust that followed the caravan out of the area. They would live to fight another day, but they did not understand why. The drive back to the outer city was quiet. Everyone in the caravan questioned Deus's decision to retreat from a battle that they would easily win. 6 wounded Geos lay on stretchers with medics repairing wounds, but the rebels were not made to answer for the injuries with their lives. Despite the questions, the Geos sat quietly, knowing the war commanders would not tolerate a Geo stirring the troops against the chief war commander. As the caravan reached the outer wall, the Geos went through the routine of unloading and cleaning the equipment. Questions quietly moved through the ranks as Geos whispered their confusion. The idea of a Geo turning and running from a fight was humiliating to any Geo, but seeing their commander retreat had everyone questioning what was happening. Soria said nothing as she went to her temporary tent shelter. Tenet instructed her second-in-command to get the troops ready to return to their colony before making her way to Deus's tent, which she purposely had placed in the courtyard along with her troops, rather than being seen sleeping in the comfort of her headquarters while the Geos slept on cots. As Tenet approached the tent, Deus met her at the entrance and signalled for her to walk with her. Tenet and Deus made their way to Soria's tent, and as they approached the entrance, they could see into the open door that Soria had flipped a table and was standing over it, looking furious. Deus knocked on the frame of the tent while looking at Soria. Soria turned and saw Deus at her partially open door and immediately composed herself as she walked to the door and invited her in.
Is this a bad time, Soraya? Asked Deus.
No, I'm fine. I apologize, sister. I let my emotions get the best of me. It's been a frustrating day. I did not intend for you to see this.
Your apology is not warranted, Soraya. What you do in the privacy of your quarters is your business. I understand you are frustrated by my actions today.
Deus, you know you have my loyalty. I just don't understand what happened today. Our only purpose as Geos is to destroy the threat that seeks to overthrow the city. We had them in our sights and we retreated like cowards. The message that's sent to the rebels will only embolden them to attack again when we return to the wastelands.
Young sister, I understand your frustration, but I assure you that your reputation as a warrior strikes fear into the heart of every rebel. No one will ever mistake you as a coward.
Deus, you are the chief commander. Your word is second only to the Omni. Your orders will be followed, but it is not like you to run from a battle, so your actions have left the troops from every colony questioning your loyalty.
Tenet interrupted.
Give me the name of the Geos who are questioning the loyalty of a wall commander. I will see to it that it never happens again.
Deus put her hand up to signal Pennet to stop and said,
No, my actions appear questionable. I will not punish soldiers for questioning anything that appears to be cowardly. That is why I'm here, Soraya. We need to talk.
Soria picked up a chair from the ground where she had kicked it over and placed it near Deus as she motioned for Pennet to sit in the seat near the wall. Soria picked up the small desk she flipped and sat on the edge of it, waiting for Deus to speak. Deus took out the letter she received from Blink and began reading.
To the Chief War Commander and leader of the brave Geos that provide the security under which we rest well at night, I trust this letter finds you in the favor of the Creator. It is with a heavy heart that I write this warning to you and your soldiers. As an aide to the Council of Seven, I am privy to many conversations and meetings that pertain to the inner workings of the city and the surrounding colony. For many years, I have been aware that the Council is changing, and in my humble opinion, forgetting that you and your soldiers sacrifice your lives to make the city secure. Day by day, I hear the conversations as they move closer to a dark future for you and your people. It is my belief that life is sacred. All life should be preserved and respected. The Council does not share this opinion. Recent meetings have included discussions about no longer needing a strong presence of military along the wall now that the Geos are held captive by the drug placed in the food supply. It has become clear to me that the sickness that your brethren share was not by chance. Rather, it was spread throughout the colonies to ensure that Geos would forever serve the city and continue providing its resources. The Council has become aware that the rebel forces have suffered such severe losses that they will soon pose no serious threat to the city. They speak of a plan to reduce your numbers by reducing your supplies and even altering the medication given to soldiers. The Council has long referred to Geos as equipment and views your people as expendable. As I write this letter, 4 hours have passed since I was asked to deliver a letter to be communicated to you through the channels established by the Council. I took the liberty of unsealing the letter in my growing suspicion of the Council's intention. The timing is designed to coincide with your return from an upcoming scavenger mission. The letter states that from this day forward, Geos injured in battles with the rebels will no longer receive resources from the city, as the limited resources would be wasted repairing damaged equipment. It is not by accident that you are being sent further into the more dangerous areas of the wasteland. These missions are designed to reduce your numbers and force you into battles that will create greater losses. You should be aware that rebels may even be aware you are coming before you are sent on a mission. It is with a heavy heart and great risk that I send you this letter. As a traitor to the city, I am forced to choose between the well-being of the city and the lives of your people. I cannot, in good conscience, sleep at night knowing I said nothing as you lead your people to their death. I know the risk I am imposing on you by sending this letter not knowing if it is a test by the Council. Duty requires that you report my actions to the Council at once. By sending this letter to you, by way of our mutual friend, who we believe has your people's best interest at heart, I hope that this helps validate my sincerity. For your protection, I have sent this in writing to allow you deniability. The Council, nor I, can prove that you received it. I only ask that you consider my words, and it is my hope that my warning will in some way help you. It's not much, but perhaps a bit of foresight will allow you to take actions to help your people. Your friend and human brother, Samark,